Hey there, and yes, this is the second video, and in this one we'll be talking about the truth about alcohol. And as I mentioned in a previous video, alcohol is a diuretic, and that means that the water in your body is used to flush out all the toxins that it doesn't want, and that means that you're flushing out lots of water, and that means it can impact on the heart, the brain, the liver, the kidneys, and of course the skin. But alcohol, you'll be surprised to learn, is a poison. It's a very mild poison, watered down to only 5%, 8% sometimes, but poison it is. And when you drink too much alcohol, you'll be admitted to hospital under what they call severe alcohol poisoning. That's because alcohol is poison. When they say, "What's your poison?" they're actually being literal. What's your poison? Yes, it's a poison. Listen to. And the body realises that alcohol, certain amounts of it are poisonous, toxic. So what it does, as soon as the alcohol is injected into the body, it uses as much water as it can to flush all that alcohol out again. And in my tests, I've consumed a whole pint of cider, and I've urinated out 1 whole pint of urine. And that means I consumed 1 whole pint, and my body flushed out a whole pint, trying to get rid of a very, very tiny amount of alcohol. And well, what did that do? It just made me want to buy another pint. But the body's water level wasn't in equilibrium. In fact, it might have even been dehydrating the body if it took more water to flush out the negative, the toxins. Well, the body sees it's negative anyway, and the equilibrium of the water table might actually be in a deficit with alcohol, but it's at least some way to robbing the body because it's a poison. And you might wonder, why is alcohol poison? Well, think about this. Think about the Bible. Adam and Eve were perfectly happy until Adam took the apple, and the fermented apple, not a poisonous apple, but yes, poisonous as well, but the fermented apple, and he got drunk. And from that point on, he was not satisfied, and mankind has not been satisfied since. No amount of alcohol has cured that satisfaction. And Eve was perfectly fine in the tree until Adam decided to scoff all the apples and create Bulmer cider. So that's where that all comes from. Basically, the poison apple, the poison chalice, poison apple in Snow White and the Dwarf's apple poisonous. It's basically, it comes from the alcohol culture. And in the Depression era of the United States, alcohol brews were lethal, and many people died, including, it has to be said, John Barrymore, who consumed too much illegal alcohol, and his liver packed in as a result. Errol Flynn, virtually the same thing. So alcohol, it's destroyed so many people's lives, and yet it's available 24 hours a day in many countries around the world, and it's advertised on TV as the one thing that you must have in order to enjoy your life. Certainly alcohol can make you pretty light-hearted and giddy, and it can take away your inhibitions, something I could probably do with right now. But, of course, anything that you consume, which you basically don't respect, will kick you up the ass. And so if you consume too much alcohol, your body will go into a violent shock, and it will try to expunge all alcohol as quickly as possible, known as vomit. And you've seen multicoloured, rainbow-coloured drinks going in, and the same coloured vomited out. And so that is what you're basically drinking, and the alcohol is basically so toxic at that point, your body has to get rid of it. If you consume even more alcohol than that, then the body goes into stage 2 of alcoholic shock, and that is to knock yourself out cold. And when you knock yourself out cold. You can't be woken up by any known force known to man. And I had a flatmate at one time who used to like to knock himself cold, and the police were called in and hammered down the door thinking that he'd had an overdose, while he was just basically collapsed on the bed in an alcoholic haze. And of course, people under alcoholic hazes don't tend to be very clear and concise, and they might not even wake up if there's a fire or a life-threatening situation going on. So alcohol can be very dangerous. When was the last time someone smoked a cigarette across the road and got killed? When was the last time someone drank alcohol across the road and fell in front of a bus? Or started a fight? Or started domestic violence? In fact, I'd say 80% of all domestic violence is caused by one too many. And I'd say at least 60% of all marriage breakups are caused by the argument that breaks the camel's back, which is fueled by alcohol. So alcohol wrecks more lives than any other drug on the planet. It wrecks more livers and causes more heart disease than any other drug, and it's also the favourite drug and the thing to take, probably even more than caffeine. So what's actually seen as cultural high is actually poison, and of course that detriments your skin because your body's frantic trying to get rid of it. And the body does this frantically because it's trying to preserve itself, of course. So that's the truth about alcohol. It's perhaps the opposite to what they say in the media. It's, well, if you remind ourselves of scientists and where alcohol is used in a lab, alcohol is used to preserve things in big old jars in a lab, and those things are really wrinkly and manky and horrible. Well, if you want to do that to your brain, of course do that, and it will. You'll end up like the guys on Futurama. But alcohol, to be honest, you don't want it pickling and preserving your body organs. It won't preserve them, it will just deplete them until you die. And that's at least 4 times much. You're at least 4 times as likely to do that with alcohol than any other drug. In fact, people who die of drug overdoses is very small, and people who die in fires and floods is very small, and even the people that die from smoking is very small compared to alcohol, which is perfectly legal to drink virtually anywhere, and even alcohol pops are available for the kids. So, of course, I'm biased against alcohol. I don't drink it. I have drunk. I've sampled all the alcohols, and I thought they all tasted pretty wrong. I do like cider. I do like sweet alcohols and rum, things like that. I think they're great. But I don't go out and buy it. I don't go out down the pubs. And alcohol has actually resulted in half of the pubs in this location closing down because half of the good clientele don't want to appear because the bad clientele, the idiots, have basically spoilt it by drinking too much alcohol, throwing things around, smashing things up, and now those pubs are closed. So alcohol has created and ruined its own culture in this area, and created and ruining a lot of people's lives. And of course, if you get hooked on alcohol, I've known lots of alcoholics who've had a pretty rough time, and I've actually seen girls of school age being alcoholics, and nothing's happened to me more. But alcohol, as I say, causes more upsets, more deaths worldwide than quite a lot of things put together, including smoking. So they say smoking is bad and smoking is the biggest killer on the planet, but unfortunately they don't take into account being in a fight because they've been drunk, or they've been stabbed because they've been drunk. On the death records it goes down as a stabbing, but it was actually caused by alcohol. It might go on the death in America as a shooting, but a lot of shootings are caused by drugs such as alcohol, and if you ruled all else out of the picture, then you wouldn't have so much violence. Nobody smoked a joint and went out killing the rest of the world, but you can have one drink too many and think you're still Sylvester Stallone. So alcohol makes pretty sensible people into idiots, and that's the truth about alcohol. Right, Thanks a lot.